Hello and welcome to another episode of Soul Nectar Show, that show where we talk about all things essence and we share our stories around the campfire of our amazing adventures to discover who we really are in truth through all the layers and all the mysteries and all the events and connections and synchronicities that Spirit connects us to on this amazing journey through life. And I'm your host, Carrie Hummingbird. I love to help people take those first few steps into approaching life from a different perspective. That one that says, hey, this is Earth School and you came here to study and learn some stuff. So let's get going. And it's fun. It's fun when you open that magical door and you start realizing that, something's listening to you every single moment and actually breathing you into existence. And the coolest part about this show, Soul Nectar Show, is I get to interview awesome people like Daniel Gutierrez. Daniel, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I love it. I love what you said about Earth School. So for those of you that want to get caught up in 3D, 5D, 10D, whatever the heck D, do school here first.
First here, yeah. Earth School. We're on Earth. We have a body. So I actually had one time I had a message from Archangel Michael. It's the only time he ever came in my head and said anything. And it's like, you have a life, live it.
That's right. Okay, I love it.
Message.
Quit trying to reach my realm.
Quit trying to investigate all your past lives.
That's
you probably
right.
haven't had any anyway. They're just imprints. So,
right.
so here's a little bit about Daniel. We did another interview with Daniel a couple of years ago on Soul Nectar Show. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I don't remember how long ago. I'll put a link in the show notes. You guys can check it out. So if you want to know more about Daniel, we covered all the backstory in that other episode. We're going to go new ground today. But he was once a high-powered executive and an in-demand consultant who graced the covers of Latin Business, Cypen and Color Magazines. He realized that there was more to success, though, than a 7-figure earning potential. And he actually was the president of Primer, a prestigious national leadership organization, and an advisor to the Department of the White House personnel for the Obama administration. See this? Yeah. That's Carrie Hummingbird's politics. We're going to leave politics out of the show. However, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep moving forward.
I even cringe when people read that.
So Daniel decided to dedicate the next chapter of his life to becoming a master of mindfulness. I love that title, Master of Mindfulness. And so during the past 10 years, he has led quests to the heights of Machu Picchu, which, you people know is my favorite. I love going to Peru, the depths of the Amazon, and the top of the Himalayas. And now he's been guiding entrepreneurs and corporate executives in those deep dive mindfulness immersions. And he's actually produced a new book recently called Radical Mindfulness, which we're going to talk about mindfulness today. Radical Mindfulness, Daniel Gutierrez, there's the book. It's available on Amazon.com. So, Daniel.
Yes, Carrie. Carrie Colibri. You say Carrie Hummingbird. Carrie Colibri. Colibri, yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about your journey to writing this book, Radical Mindfulness. I know that it's dedicated.
Yeah. It was inspired by my mother's passing 2 years ago, but the story started way before that, before her passing. The true story is that I had a book deal with a very prominent agent. As a matter of fact, he was Ed Cartoli's agent. He signed me 2-3 years ago. And he was like, we're really excited about having you. And so I was writing a book called Dancing in the Chaos. And for some reason, it didn't feel right because I was writing the book to make money. I wanted corporate to buy it. It was all based, let me see how big I can get, blah, blah, blah. I just, it's not the book that I ended up writing. I ended up canceling the contract, which people thought I'd lost my mind because, it's hard enough to get an agent, but to get a good one and one that has power is another thing. But the story really begins. I'm going to come back to this because it's important that I was moving forward with my life. But if you can just imagine for a minute, for those of you that know where Manhattan is, New York City, I said, it's a cold winter day in New York City. I'm sitting in a posh restaurant having a $250 shot of cognac. I'm in my custom-made suit, and fancy shoes, and I am full of myself. I am thinking I am the shit, right? And I'm looking out the window, and these big billowy snowflakes are falling down onto Fifth Avenue, and I mean, it was just the sexiest scene. I mean, it's like a movie. And I'm looking out, and I'm looking. All of a sudden, I caught my reflection in the glass, and I realized there was like a tear, like coming down my eye. And then I heard this: "Who are you? And what values did you sell to be who you are?" Now, at the time, as you said, I was president of Primer in New York City, which is a prestigious C-suite level organization. I was advisor to the Department of White House Personnel for President Obama. I was a very highly paid keynote speaker. Absolutely no reason to think that anything was wrong. But in that moment, my entire life changed. In that moment, when I got that question, now to give you some context, and we probably talked about this 3 years ago, as a 17-year-old, I was a licensed Baptist minister.
Yeah, we did talk about that. Yeah.
Right? So I was a licensed Baptist minister. And so I'm giving you that context because who have you become was in context compared to who I was at 17. And so what values did you sell? Because one of the things that I do know, and maybe a leader in power may not say this, but in order to stay in leadership in our world, sometimes you have to look the other way. Sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do in order to stay in the position that you have, or they remove you. And so clearly I had turned the other way and probably, allowed things to happen. These aren't bad things, but things that I would say just weren't cool. And so in that moment, I was really challenged. So I sat there looking out the window going, wow, in 1 second, I went from being full of myself to who the hell am I? All in 1 minute, and Carrie, you know what I did? I left New York City that night. I was at the end of my tenure as president. I absolutely just unplugged, never called them back, never nothing. I didn't make any more White House calls. I never was available for them. I didn't speak anymore professionally on the market. And I decided that it was time for me to take a journey. And I went and worked with the Sanskrit priest in the coffee plantations of the Himalayas. I worked with the monks in the monasteries. Then I went to the Amazon and worked with the maestros of the Amazon and the Pacos of the Andes. I went crazy, looking for who am I and why am I here and what is my message and what should I be doing? And then one day, like Forrest Gump in the movie, where he's running, I asked myself, why? Why did I do that?
Why?
All of a sudden, when I'm broke, I'm going, oh no, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Why did I quit my job? Why? Because people had told me when I made this transition, you're crazy. You've worked so hard to build your brand and now you're going to destroy it. And I remember the first time, Carrie, that I put something on my website that was somewhat spiritual. And someone calls me up, a very prominent leader in New York says, what, you think you're Jesus now? Is that what you are? Jesus? I mean, I was like, all I did was put something positive on my side. And so people thought I really had lost my mind. So now I'm in the Andes and I'm going, why? What did I do? Now, how do I get back? Right. So I got back from Peru and I'm at home and I get a phone call. And my sister says, you need to come home. And I knew that was serious because my mother had been sick for a couple of years and her health had taken a bad turn. So I go to Dallas to be with her. And because the family had been taking care of her for so long, I said, why don't you guys go home and get some rest and let me stay with her in the hospital? Well, the question why was answered. And that's why I'm telling you that story, because that's the premise of the book. So she, I remember being in her room and I just, hospitals are not made for us to be comfortable. I mean, they put those little bitty beds in there that, you hang off on both sides, your head's hanging off on your feet, and it's like 40 degrees in there, 30 degrees. It could snow in there if it got any colder. And I can't sleep because the bell's going off. I don't know if she's dying. I mean, I was really scared. And I'm struggling with my ego and I'm struggling with my humanness who's scared I'm going to lose mom and now I won't have any parents, and scared that, or mad because You know, I should have been a better son. I should have lived closer. I was the only one of 6 children that lived away, you know, and I didn't come home too often, enough to get a dose of family. I mean, the reason I lived away was because I needed to, you know, and I was just beating myself up. And then in a moment of clarity, I began to remember what all of those teachers taught me. And that was to be present, to stay in the moment, not allowing my thoughts or my humanness or my ego to take me anywhere but in the present moment. And I began to breathe and stay focused on my mother. And a few seconds later, and it's about 2 a.m, a few seconds later, I'm looking at her, and I touched my chest because I started to feel her struggle to breathe and to live in my own body. I could feel her heart failing. I could feel her liver failing. I could feel her struggle to live. And I just was like, what's happening to me? Why am I feeling this? And then all of a sudden, I looked over at where mom was lying, and she was just light. It was just a light. It wasn't mom anymore. It was just a light. And then I looked at myself, and then I wasn't in my body. I was a light. And I was a light, and there was a light. And so the only way I could describe it is it was like 2 spirits. And then I realized the why behind all the things. I mean, it's from the moment that I was a minister at 17 to the moment I came back from the Andes. The Spirit said to me, many lifetimes before we incarnated into this body, into this human form, you made me a promise. You promised me that you would be here when I needed. You promised me that you would be here when I needed you most. And you are. And I thank you and release you from your contract. And I just was like, what?
Wow.
I mean, it was such a gift to not have any guilt, to not have any, nothing. And then I looked down and I was back in my body. And I thought, oh my gosh, my entire life, everything I've done was for this moment right here. And thank God I was present enough to see it. And that's where radical came from, because you have to be really radically present and mindful to be in the moment, to be that centered. And all of the things I'd learned from all of those different teachers were not for naught. I needed to be prepared for that moment. And in that moment, I said, I'm going to write a book from my heart, not to sell, because I don't care. And I came back and I started writing Radical Mindfulness, the book. And that's the book that's published now, international bestseller. And I feel, and I actually launched it on Valentine's Day, because that's the day that I had to leave my mother. She died 4 days later, but I had to leave her to bring my son back to school. And it was the most difficult thing I ever did, was to leave my mother on Valentine's Day. But I kept my promise that I'd have the book out one day. And 2 years later, it was published. And that's where that kind of that story comes from. And then I could tell a story about what does it mean to me to be radically mindful, because I experienced it. I could have never, ever experienced that kind of love and compassion and freedom, because I didn't have to go on the rest of my life wondering if I'd done the wrong thing. I didn't. I just didn't know that my entire life was being set up so that I could hear that, to hear that voice to say, you're free, you can go now. And I was
That's
like,
so
wow.
beautiful. Wow. That's so profound on so many levels. And gosh, I don't even know where to start. That's amazing. That's the first time you told me that story.
Yeah.
Gosh, what I'm really feeling is that it's in presence, that like you were actually present when you were in the building on the restaurant and the snowflakes were coming down.
Yeah, I
You had
was.
a moments of presence there where you
That,
realize this is all BS.
yes.
Like, I'm so full of it.
Yeah.
Like, you had that moment. And I think that this is a message that's so important. This isn't like so difficult or woo woo or anything else. This is just about not letting your mind like take over and take you out of your life, and not letting your life crowd you out of your life, like you out of
Right.
your life, like
Right.
you, your body, your feelings, your emotions, your senses, because your senses actually were what tuned into your mom, because you're used to meditating. I mean, you're
Right.
used to practicing meditation. So you're used to getting to sort of like these other states of consciousness awareness where you're aware that we're so much more than just this physical body. Because you practiced that all those years, you were able to be present right there and be open to that experience to happen. Can I share my experience? Now I know what I'm going to share with you. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a similar experience. Gosh, now we're just gonna cry fest. Let's just cry. We're just gonna cry. It's okay. Crying is okay, people.
Crying is good. Crying is good.
Healing. It's like a rain in the forest. It just washes everything off.
Yeah, I often say that our tears are sometimes the only way that our heart can speak to us. And sometimes our heart needs expression and expansion, and the only way that it knows how to do that is through tears.
It's the only way. So a couple years ago, my dad passed. My stepdad has been with me since I was 5 years old. And here you go. He really rescued me and my mom he turned it around. He was one of those old souls that came in, he used to work in high tech and they called him the graybeards. The graybeards come in and they know what they're doing, right? Michael Dell hired him, to come in and like help the company. Like he was that kind of guy. He just knew stuff. He was Mensa, he was brilliant, and he was also like really just etherically smart. Like he was an old soul. I swear he was just a master teacher, and I got to have him as my dad from 5 years on. And anyway, so he had been struggling with a very inactive cancerous thing going on in his body. It was inactive. It wasn't going. It was in stasis.
Mm-hmm.
And so we didn't really think anything of it because we're like, well, we know it's there, but it's not doing anything, so it's probably fine. So we're going about our lives, just let's see him every few weeks for dinner or something like that, not like making a big deal out of it. And this has been going on for years. So we just weren't even thinking about it. Well, I had booked a retreat. I was going to be gone in New Mexico, and I drove out there, from here. So like 15 hours drive. And as I get there, literally as I get there, my mom calls, "You've got to come home. Dad's got an infection. He's got a cold or something. His lungs, he's only got like 1/4 of one lung functioning. And if you want to see him again, you need to hurry." So yeah, I hauled ass. I turned right around and drove 15 hours back overnight through Texas countryside, which, at night is you've got
Boring.
wild hogs running across the road unexpectedly and deer and everything else. So I'm like risking my life. I got pulled over by a cop. It's like, "You can't drive that fast at night on these roads, ma'am. You're going to kill yourself." And I told him, I said, "Listen, you can give me a ticket if you want, but my dad is dying and I'm going to be there." So I got all the way back 4 a.m. So I think because I had driven so long, I was so delirious, but I get to the hospital room and my dad was already, sedated. So I didn't, he wasn't awake when I got there. He briefly woke up when I got there and then he started causing a stir, trying to get out of his situation, and they had to give him some drugs. So I lay by his side. I lay in a little chair curled up right next to his bed. I just curled up in this little chair and just hung out with my dad. I had the most profound 3 hours of conscious psychic connection with my dad. I've never experienced that before with anybody else. It's like he was walking me down memory lane. He was like reminding me of reading bedside stories with me. He was reminding me of in the pool where he used to teach me how to swim, and he would swim backwards and hold my hands so I could swim. Like all these things that I had forgotten. And he would say things like, "I can't believe you forgot that." And then he'd show me the next thing. Wow. 3 hours. And every time I felt him pull away, I'd say, "No, Dad, come back. I need some more. Don't leave yet." And he'd come back and he'd show me some more things for 3 hours, Daniel.
Wow.
And that is like precious to me. And I think that's because I've worked on myself to the point where I'm able to, like, this is really open. Like my channels are all open. Mm-hmm. I can listen. I listen really good. Like and he was beyond the veil. Like we talked about in the last broadcast, beyond the veil.
The beautiful thing about that Carrie, and I think it's important that we talk about it, is that all of us have the capacity to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us will never, ever experience that, you know, because of our crazy world that we live in, the 80,000 thoughts per day that go through our mind. We don't give ourselves that gift. Both of us experienced it because we had a practice that was, I think all loved ones. The beautiful thing about the book, it hasn't been out that long, but people are already writing me, telling me their stories like yours. You know, there are other people that have experienced similar things. And I don't know. I mean, I wrote a book about it because it was so powerful and I didn't want to forget. And I don't want my son to forget, you know, that was a magical moment. And you think about your whole lifetime, like you were, you know, he's taking you. I always think about It's a Wonderful Life, right? Because it's this part, you know, you everything matters. Everything is connected to everything else.
Everything is essential
Yeah.
as part of the journey. It's so
Yeah,
amazing.
there's nothing that you want to take out. We may think that, you know, but wow. I mean, and my hope is that more people can find just a little sliver of that, just a little sliver. You know, I was sharing the other day on an interview that in Los Angeles, every year they do that top 3 things that people want for the New Year's. And every year it's the same thing: money, relationships, and health. That's usually the number one thing. And last year, there was one other thing in there that wasn't in there before, and that was peace and tranquility. People wanted to be okay. They wanted to be okay. They're tired of waking up, just like I was that day in that posh hotel. The beautiful thing about that, Carrie, and the rest of the story is, I thought I had lost my freaking mind too, you know, because after Mother died, I felt empty and lost. And I always think that this is Mom, you know, and I've never told this story, the rest of the story, because this didn't happen. And this will be the first time I share it. And so I get an invitation to speak at Carnegie Hall. And this was last year. And I was excited about that because it's one of the biggest stages in the world. And I remember when I got up to speak and I was ending my speech, I said, some of the constituents of the organization that I was president of are actually here today. So they can tell you that my story is true. But many of my constituents said I was crazy and I'd lost my mind. But just a few blocks away was that restaurant that I was sitting in when I decided to walk away. And today I'm standing on one of the biggest stages in the world. So I don't think that I went too far off the grid.
Yeah.
You know, and they all started laughing and clapping. But when the book came out on Valentine's Day, another gift I got, another release, another letting go, and I felt that from my mom, is that I kept my commitment and I found love at the same time. On that same day, that person flew down from Canada and said, I want to be with you, so I'm flying in. And I released the book on that day, and I had one of the most beautiful Valentine's Day when it was a very dark day for me. Mm-hmm. Having left my mom, and you know, everyone to leave somebody, you know, so I wasn't there when she took her last breath, but I already knew she wasn't there. But to be able to experience again a gift, and I felt that moment, that day with my love was my mother saying, let me go. It's okay. You have love now, and live your life, and I'm always here. You can't experience that kind of stuff unless you're present. You won't know the little signs that they send and the things that they do. I mean, I know she orchestrated it all of it, so that I would have that kind of love in my life on a day when I was releasing this book and I was sad, you know. And we can all have that. We can all have that. And I know most people will never experience that because they get too caught up in their humanness. They get too caught up in their ego. They get caught up in their thoughts. You know, I was a crazy, strung out, stressed out executive. I was successful. but I wasn't successful because maybe I was good at what but I think I was successful because I feared failure, not because I was successful. I feared losing. So I would push myself, sleep in airports, I mean, do stupid stuff. That's no way to live. That's a human stimulant. Today, we live in a society where stress is okay. It's almost like a badge of courage. Oh, I'm more stressed out than you. I drank a whole bottle of whiskey. Oh,
Yeah.
good.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, great. And they
Yeah.
schedule the meetings at work so that people are working like meeting, 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 meeting. And it's like, do you have time to drink a glass of water and go to the bathroom
No.
and take care of your body? Do you have time to do the work that you just discussed in the meeting? Oh, later tonight after I put my kids to bed. What?
Yeah. Yeah. And then they pass out.
And and then then you need something to go to sleep because you just had coffee in order to stay awake to do that. And now you gotta have
Yeah.
something to drink to
Yeah.
go to sleep. That is crazy.
It
And
is crazy.
it's a matrix. You talk about crazy. People, Daniel, of course people call me crazy because they're like, what? I had 20 years in, high tech, working as a technical writer, very well respected and really easy. Like if I needed work, I just put a couple emails out and before long I had too much work, right? It just
Right.
let a couple of people know I have time.
Mhm.
Bam, got projects. And when I went on this path, at some point it just became incongruous to keep my last name the way it was. It just was incongruous. It's not true. And I had to change it to what was more true for me,
Right.
which was Carrie Hummingbird.
Right.
And I changed it on Facebook first, and people were like, whoa, what happened? And then, like, a year later, I changed it on LinkedIn. Now, that was really the move, right? Like, I'm declaring it.
That's right.
People think you're freaking nuts, but that's not true. It's like this system is nuts. This whole matrix is nuts.
Well, we've just gotten to a place in our society where if we don't find a way to slow down, we're going to perish.
Yeah.
That's just all there is to it, And fortunately, the world is waking up. The world is waking up, and our leaders are no longer effective at what they used to do, and new leaders are stepping up. And it's funny, Carrie, because one of the things that I always say that it's funny that all of these groups, gay, lesbian, transgender, you name it, all of these groups have come out of the closet. The only people that haven't come out of the closet are spiritual people.
Still hiding or
They're still
persecuted.
hiding. They don't want to shine their light, and we need you to shine your light. We need you to come out and shine your light. Because the darkness cannot exist in light. Yet we collectively as a globe have not been able to do that because we're scared, being persecuted or you're weird. I've heard that too. I mean, my son said, Dad, your friends are weird. And I said, that means you think your dad's weird too, right? Then he says, but you know what? They all have big hearts. They all love. And I said, well, you'll find out later on in life, son, that's where the juice is. It's not about all the stuff that people say. It's what people do, and we need that. And I think that the things that you've done to better yourself and the trial and tribulations that you've had to endure, I don't think that we're all unique in the fact that we have our journey to walk. I think it's unique when we choose to say enough. And whether it's changing your name to Hummingbird or moving from LA to Peru to say, I don't want to do this anymore, and still stay connected. Because I know that my work is still working with corporate, but in a much different way than I used to. I don't give into their stuff, and I really don't care if I get the gig or don't. It's just, before it was like, I'm going to die if I don't get the gig, and so the message, I think, for people that are watching right now is connect to your heart. Your heart knows the answer. Your heart knows the answer. And I know, you know what, if in the 1900s or the 1800s, whenever they started doing all this research on the mind and the brain, had they put the same kind of money and time into researching the heart, then the heart would be the center of our life, but it's not. We were sold a bill of goods that said that everything comes from our mind and everything comes from our thoughts, and that's true. But the center of that energy is our heart. our remembrance of past lives or imprints don't come from your mind. They come from your heart. It's something so much bigger and powerful. So don't be scared to go there. Many people are being called right now to do stupid stuff.
Yeah,
Well, in the
do it.
future, it won't be stupid. In the future, it won't be stupid. It'll
No,
just
it's
be
actually
another one bit the
enlightened.
dust. Yeah, it'll be another one bit the dust, you know?
They all thought Einstein was crazy too.
Yeah, I'm okay with crazy. I mean,
It's just fine with me
you,
now. I don't.
well, you got to be a little bit crazy to want to be in this world. I can tell you that.
Well,
But
I
here,
think this is crazy. Yeah.
yeah, well, I think the other thing too, and I want to say this, we started the show with this. I don't even think we were on the air yet. Folks, yeah, we did. I commented on the human school.
Yeah,
Folks,
Earth School.
you're here for Earth School, man. You're here to make manifest this journey called the humanity, the humanness of our beingness, and to try to escape that and leave is only to bring yourself back into this space again. I don't have any desire to come back in human form. And maybe why I'm doing all this work, so I don't have to. You want to hear something funny? The other day, not the other day, but a few months ago, maybe last year, I drove 2 monks to Arizona in my car. And all I kept thinking was, am I doing enough karma here? Man, I said, you know how hard it was not to cuss? You know how hard and I told him,
Is this enough service?
I told him before I left, I said, I just want to be really honest with you. If a car pulls out in front of me, I might say the F word. don't be shocked. Just pray for me.
Well, Daniel, a lot of people are waking up, and I happen to. It's so funny because I have people that hire me that are, directors at Fortune 100 companies. Okay,
Right.
But they'll never tell anybody they work with me because I'm the unicorn in the pocket. Like they don't talk about it.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
who's making the magic? The person who is in touch with the magic, like the person who actually, like, I devote my life. I actually made this decision like years ago. I said, you know what would be so cool for me in this life is to consciously interface with this matrix, whatever this is. Like I want to like direct interface with God, source, spirit, creator. Like I want to go direct. Like I want to know what you think. I want to be guided by you. I want to like know all the stuff. I want to like go direct. I want to go around in it and figure it out. I said I wanted to do that. And so I get to do that. It's pretty cool. It's also challenging at times because like I teach butterfly medicine. Guess what? You get to go through the cocoon like a bazillion times, get torn apart, like, rearranged. But when this work, people are so afraid of this work, what you're talking about, being mindful, being present, having awareness, starting to transform, like all this stuff, people are so terrified of it. You know what? It makes life better.
Mm-hmm.
What makes it hard is all the crust around your heart, all the crust around your divine spark that you are. That's what makes life hard. All that thick, crusty crap that, as you finally like start tuning into it instead of distracting from it, well, there's little chunks that break off, and those little chunks are pretty yucky when they come up, aren't they, Daniel?
Yeah.
Crusty chunks that come up. Fear, repressed fear, self-judgment. When that gets dragged loose, that's pretty awful. But hey, it's temporary on its way out. Like it goes out, it leaves, and then guess what? It doesn't come back. You don't have to like fight against it. You don't have to like defense yourself up against the thing like the way people do.
Mm-hmm.
You actually, if you take this journey, you actually just be present and mindful with it. It leaves, it dissolves, it evaporates, it gives you the message. It says, thank you for listening. Here's the message I was trying to give you. Take better care of yourself. There you go. Now I can leave. What? And you're saying that's as simple as that?
Yeah.
Talk about that, because you're working with these shamans in Peru.
Right.
I feel like they're really sane compared to our Western. Like I feel like they're so sane.
Information, as you said, is direct. They're directly connected to source. They're directly connected to the universe. They're directly connected to God, whatever you choose to call it. They're directly connected. I just froze.
You did freeze.
But you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Yeah. So because they're directly connected, their information is more palatable. It's more palatable. And it's not based on fear or making money or any of those things. It's really solid information. And so, I think our world is coming back to that. I think
Mhm.
that's where the legalization of cannabis comes from. It's plants aren't that bad. Plants have a purpose when we use them correctly, and plants can heal us if we choose to do that too. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm okay being called weird or crazy or out in left field, and yet even in the corporate environment, and this is something you said a minute ago, and my clients don't tell anybody either. They think, oh, I don't want people to know that you're my coach or and that's
It's hard to get
okay.
those testimonials.
Yeah, it is, because they don't want you to use their
It's like a
title.
dark screen with a silhouette.
Yeah. They're still in hiding, but they're still doing the work, and that's okay, because that's our job, is to help those people do the work, right? So anyway, and I'm sorry that I'm frozen there in time, but
You're
that's okay.
frozen in time.
I'm frozen in
That's a
time.
message of its own. I wonder what that means.
I know, right?
This is the kind of thing that we start looking at. We're like, why
Right.
did it freeze?
Why did it
What
freeze?
does that mean? What
Yeah.
about Daniel?
Well, no, it's very simple. It's very simple. I need a new computer. That's very
Daniel
simple.
working on old hardware.
Yeah.
So
Very old.
very old. Well, I know that you're going to be even closer with the shamans
Yeah.
really
I,
soon. Tell us more about that.
I want to share some. I'm not even going to give you dates, because I don't think that's fair, but I will say this. I am very close to securing my own, well, it's my home, but I called it El Centro es Catalina, which is my mom's name. El Centro de Amor, Paz y Tranquilidad. So the center of love, peace, and tranquility. And it sleeps, I have 26 bedrooms. And it's got a conference center, and it's got a full restaurant on campus. Beautiful property. And in a very short few weeks, I'll be down there closing the deal. And then the center will open up this summer, in the summer. And people will be able to come down. And you've been down there. I know that one of the things that taxes people the most is going from one hotel to the next. Even though it's fun and everybody enjoys it, people will be able to come to the center and stay there and leave their luggage there while we go out and do all the things that they came to Peru to do. But most importantly, the reason it's not a public place, you won't be able to go online and book it. It's designed for teachers to teach. And so my goal is to have teachers book the center for their teaching, and then allow my staff to completely take care of all of the sightseeing stuff that people come to see, like Machu Picchu, train tickets, bus tickets, all that stuff, so that they can do their job and teach. And I'm really excited about that. So that's been 10 years in the making. And again, how that came up was really weird. It was just a weird thing, because I had almost bought some property more than once, and it never came through, and I was so disappointed. But yeah, so in a few weeks, you're going to see another announcement from me, and that's going to be the center. So I'm excited about it. Now, I don't know if we both froze this. We're both frozen now, or what? Are you
Did you
frozen?
see? I'm not frozen. Are you?
Uh,
Do you? Am
yeah,
I frozen to you? Do you see me?
yeah, yeah. You're frozen. Yeah.
Oh
Now,
no, I'm frozen
now,
too.
now we're both.
Well, I'm not frozen on my side.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, I think I just lost your volume though. Are you there?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Like I said, you know what? Just for the hell of it, I'm going to print screen just so I have it to show you.
Do I have a
Anyway,
weird look on my face?
you're like laughing, and
Oh,
I'm
that's
looking
good.
up into space. So
You had the
it's
weird
all
look on your
good.
face.
It's all good. And listen, this is something, and this is everything's a teaching point.
Totally.
In the past, in corporate, we would have freaked out.
Oh my God. It's
We would have been
froze.
call the
It's a
police.
podcast.
Call 911.
We
There's a
can't have that.
frozen screen. Oh my gosh. I
It's
mean,
ruined. It's ruined.
somebody, get me a CEO and find out why they're using Zoom. Fire Zoom.
I
Fire
know.
Zoom,
It'd be
right?
like reaching out and like getting all angry and hot and
Yeah,
heavy
you're right.
about it.
And
Somebody
we're
getting
just,
fired over this.
and we're just sitting here going, oh, well, it happens.
Be like, well, that's okay. Doesn't matter. It's all
Yeah.
right.
You can hear me.
Now I can't see you, but we can hear each other. Now, isn't that cool? Because we're doing this broadcast just by feel and voice.
Yep. That's right. We're just cruising through the jungle on our own.
We're just cruising through.
That's right. Oh, well, we can't see each other. Maybe
we can't see each other, but we can hear each other.
That's right. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Now they got a frozen screen they can look at.
At least they got your handsome face right there.
That's
so
right.
well, I am so delighted to be, people, it's so great. I get to be connected with somebody like Daniel. Isn't that just kick ass? It's pretty awesome.
It's great. All of us are connected. It's great to be, able to connect like this and share our stories and talk about it and give people, I don't know that we give people hope, but we show them that there is hope.
There is hope, and there is something beyond the veil, and it's not scary. Like, well, some of it is, but
well, this frozen stuff's pretty scary. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know either, but we just roll with it. It's a lesson, so that's okay. I
mean, in our world, if anyone calls the CEO, the technician, the accountant, the Zoom person, it's all us.
But it's okay. Like, seriously, like, whenever things happen, you just roll with it. You're in the present. Are we in the present moment, Daniel? Yes. Or are we like sitting here trying to fix it?
No, we're not. We're just,
okay.
Oh, well, it happens. Well. If you don't like the screen, turn it off and just listen to us.
This is going to be, there's no video on iTunes anyway. So
it's like a woman once she was complaining that I was too loud when I speak on my telesummit or on my seminars. And I said, oh, turn down the volume.
Yeah, just turn the volume down.
What are you getting so upset about? Turn the volume down. And then you'll hear, it's like, don't get upset. Just
don't get upset. Just like roll with it. Because whatever it's for you, we can't control these things in life, Daniel. I couldn't control my dad was going to pass away. You can control your mom was going to pass away. We can't control these things in life. All we can do is be present with ourselves during the experience, do the best we can, show up with whatever we got, and roll with it and see what comes.
That's it.
Yeah.
That is it.
That's it. And I definitely know that I want to be down there teaching one of your classes down there in the center. So
Yep, you're going to do that.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited about that. I started to plan my own retreats right now, people. Carrie Hummingbird starting to plan retreats. I got some going on this year in the States. I'm getting my practice stateside first before I go venture.
She says I'm getting my sea legs on before I head down to ride me a llama.
Before I had bring people down to a foreign country, hey, take you down there.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do. I hope people will go to my website because this year I'm actually, Christine Powers. It's the only U.S. based event that I'm doing this year in the Adirondack Mountains. Oh my God, it's beautiful up there, and I'm doing a 1 week retreat in the mountains there, and you get taken care of, and you get to be outside, and you get to do campfires, and then I'll be teaching from my book Radical Mindfulness. So
that's
awesome. Go to my website and check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's got the philosophers camp there too.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Oh, that's awesome.
She and I are co-facilitating that particular event in August 22nd.
Wonderful. People check that out. Whatever your heart guides you to, just pay attention to that. Slow down long enough to hear the message. And don't dismiss it when you heard it. Don't ignore it.
Right.
Don't go, oh,
Someday.
I'll pay attention to that.
Someday. And then I just saw a post from a friend of mine who was really upset because one of her friends of 25 years is dying of cancer.
Oh.
And she was trying to make the point. And I unfortunately, this is what happens with us as humans. Don't forget to live. You don't know when your contract's up. You don't know.
It can happen really quickly. We actually don't have any control, so why are you trying to have some?
Yeah, right. Right.
That's pretty much my question. You actually don't have any control, so why are you so obsessed about having it?
Control's an illusion. Yeah.
You could roll with it, and you'll have so much more fun.
Right now, we got frozen screens. Yeah, we got frozen, which is great because then now I don't have to look all cool, and you got a picture of me looking like I'm saying something really important, and so there you go, and we can roll with that, and it is what it is.
It is what it is. Well, I think people should follow their instinct, and if they love this idea that you're sharing, they should go get your book for sure, Radical Mindfulness on Amazon,
Amazon.com. That's right.
Amazon.com.
Amazon.
And they should go to your website and check out your retreats, because you actually are already doing retreats
Yeah.
to Peru, and
Peru and Bhutan. We're going to Bhutan this year.
oh wow,
Yeah.
very cool.
Bhutan, yeah.
And then
Over close to the Himalayas.
I think I told you my guides told me I was going to be doing a retreat, because I listen to my guides. Hello, I'm crazy. But my guides told me I was going to do my retreat in Peru in June 2020. So that's when I'm doing it.
There
I
you
have
go.
no information other than that right now, but that's what I'm going with.
Good. You have a place already.
I do. Yay! That's awesome. That's right. Because I want to show people all the stuff in the Sacred Valley, and then I want to teach them a lot of things that I've been learning.
Yep.
All over Peru, I've been learning things. So many things I could have, like, so many things you said, Daniel, so many moments I was like, oh my God, I want to talk about that. Oh, I want to talk about that. Oh, let's talk about this. Oh, that's a good point. And then it's like, you can't, because it's just, there's so much we could talk about. We could go on and on and on forever, because you and I have so much to talk about.
That's right. We do. We'll just do another show down the road.
Okay, cool. All right. So please check out his website, and I guess you can't give kisses, so you'll have to just theoretically give kisses.
That's right. Yeah. I'm still looking off into the sky. Who knows what I'm thinking?
Well, I'm going to give people kisses, and I hope you guys decide to like Soul Nectar show and comment, leave us some feedback, questions you might have. Daniel's, he'll be checking it, because I'll ping him if you guys make a comment. And, if you have any questions on YouTube or on iTunes or on soulnectar.show or Facebook, anywhere you find this broadcast, please reach out, like it, share it, comment, and we'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to give you kisses now. I promise the kisses. I was been holding out, but here they come. Okay.
There we go.
Bye, everybody. See you next time on Soul Nectar Show.